Welcome to the King Tales. Thank you for the love and support. Let's dive in. Story time. 3 days after Jude left, life was slowly returning to normal. The kids were still grounded, still sulking about it, and still asking about Mr. Jude. No, I said firmly every time they asked. We're not seeing him again. But Mom, he said he wants to thank us, Diana protested. You don't need thanks. You did a good deed. That's reward enough. But I should have known my children wouldn't give up that easily. And I definitely should have known Jude wouldn't stay away. It was a Saturday afternoon. I had closed the store early and was home cooking dinner. The kids were in their room, supposedly doing homework, but most likely plotting mischief. I was stirring soup, lost in thought, when I heard a car pull up outside. A nice car, from the sound of the engine. I frowned. Fancy cars didn't often come into our neighborhood. Before I could even put down my spoon, a knock came at the door, followed by the sound of 3 kids stampeding down the hallway. I get it. David yelled. No, I get it. Daniel argued. Both of you move. Diana pushed past them. The door swung open, and I heard 3 simultaneous gasps. Mr. Jude. My spoon slipped and clattered into the pot. Oh no. He came back. They screamed in unison. I rushed out of the kitchen, wiping my hands on my wrapper, and froze. Jude stood at the doorstep, completely transformed from the bleeding, bandaged man who'd left 3 days ago. He wore a crisp, expensive suit, probably worth more than my monthly rent. His wounds had healed, with only a few small bandages remaining. He looked exactly like what he really was, a wealthy CEO. And his arms were full of shopping bags. Wow, Daniel breathed. You look so different. You look like a president, David said. No, dummy. He looks like a rich CEO, Daniel corrected. I am a CEO, actually, Jude laughed. So you're right, Daniel. Don't call me dummy, you coconut head, David fired back. Boys, Diana muttered, rolling her eyes. Stop fighting and look at all those bags. Are those for us? Jude smiled. Hello, my brave rescuers. I told you I'd come back, didn't I? You did, they chorused. What are you doing here? I demanded, my voice sharp. His eyes met mine, and something flickered there, curiosity, calculation, suspicion. I came to thank you and your children properly, he said. I promised I would. We don't need your thanks. Are those presents? David cut in, eyes glued to the bags. They are, Jude confirmed, gaze still on me. For 3 very brave children who saved my life. Can we see? They jumped up and down. Kids, no, I started, but Diana was already pulling Jude inside like she owned the house. Come in, come in. Don't stand outside like a stranger. Diana, I hissed. You can't just invite people like that. But Mom, you taught us to be hospitable to guests, she said sweetly. Of course she used my words against me. Jude stepped into our small living room, and suddenly the space felt even smaller. The children swarmed him like bees around honey. What's in the bag? Daniel asked. Let him breathe, Diana scolded, though her eyes never left the bags. Patience is a virtue, David said, shaking from excitement. Jude laughed and began unloading the gifts. David, this is for you. He pulled out a box. David froze. His eyes went huge. Is that a PlayStation? A real one. Not a knockoff, Jude said. David nearly screamed. MOM. MOM look. I see it, I said dryly. Jude, this is too much. Daniel, for you, Jude continued, ignoring me. Daniel received a stack of books, science, history, space. His face lit up. These are amazing. I noticed you seemed like a reader, Jude said. And Diana, he pulled out another bag. Diana found an advanced mathematics workbook, a leather journal, and fancy pens. This is perfect, she whispered. Mom never buys me these because they are too expensive. A sharp ache hit my heart, because it was true. I couldn't. Jude kept going, new shoes, clothes, educational games. Jude, stop. My voice finally broke through. This is too much. We can't accept all this. Why not? Diana asked, genuinely confused. He wants to thank us. Listen to the wise child, Jude said with that infuriating smile. Don't use my children against me, I snapped. Mom, please, David begged, clutching the PlayStation like treasure. We saved his life. Don't we deserve a reward? You don't save people expecting rewards, I argued. But if someone wants to reward us, we should accept graciously, Diana countered. You taught us that. I was trapped, cornered by my own parenting and 3 pairs of pleading eyes. Fine, I said through gritted teeth. You can keep the gift. But Jude, we need to talk. The kids looked worried. Are you going to fight? Daniel asked. No fighting, Jude assured. Just talking. Boring, David muttered, already tearing open the PlayStation box. Kids, go to your room, I ordered. They grabbed their things and ran, but I could still hear their whispers through the thin walls. I turned to Jude, arms folded tight. What do you want? I told you. I wanted to thank you. Cut the crap, Jude. You didn't come here just to give presents. I can see it in your eyes. So just ask what you want and leave. He watched me for a long moment. How old are they? He finally asked. My heart stopped. 7, I said stiffly. 7 years, and how many months? That's none of your business. Lisa, please. Their father, he continued, voice low. You said he died. When? How? I said get out. I just need to know. You don't need to know anything. My voice cracked, tears burning behind my eyes. You gave up the right to know anything about my life 8 years ago. If they're mine. They're not yours, I lied, my voice breaking. Their father was a good man who loved me, who wanted us. Who didn't throw me away like garbage. He died, and I raised them alone. And you have no right to come here asking questions. Jude looked like I had slapped him. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry, Lisa. For everything. For what I did. Your apologies mean nothing. Leave. And don't come back. The children are my children. Not yours. He looked like he wanted to argue, but something in my face must have stopped him. Okay, he said quietly. I'll go. But Lisa, if you ever need anything at all, for you or for them, please call me. He placed a business card on the table, then turned and walked out. I stood there shaking, listening to his car fade into the distance. Then I sank onto the couch and buried my face in my hands. He was starting to put the pieces together, and I had no idea how much longer I could keep lying. Jude sat in his car outside Lisa's neighborhood for a long time after she threw him out. His hands were locked around the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white. 7 years old. The children were 7 years old. And Lisa had been defensive, angry, almost desperate, for him to leave. She was hiding something. He was sure of it now. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he needed, a private investigator he'd used before for business. Discreet. Thorough. Expensive. Mr. Badmus, a professional voice answered on the second ring. How can I help you? I need you to investigate someone, Jude said, his voice tight with barely controlled emotion. Discreetly. Thoroughly. I need everything you can find. Who's the subject? Lisa Okafor, he said, giving the address. I just left her house. I need everything from 8 years ago until now, where she's lived, where she's worked, medical records if you can get them, especially from 7 to 8 years ago. Birth certificates. Hospital records. Everything. There was a pause. Sir, some of that information is private. Potentially illegal to obtain. I don't care, Jude snapped. Whatever it cost. Whatever you have to do. I need that information, and I need it fast. May I ask what this is regarding? No, Jude said flatly. You may not. 1 week. Can you do it? Another pause. Yes, sir. 1 week. Good. Jude hung up and stared at Lisa's house through the windshield. If those children were his. If she'd been pregnant and never told him. If he'd missed 7 years of their lives. He didn't know what he would do. But he had to know the truth. The call came on a Thursday afternoon while Jude was in a board meeting. Quarterly reports were being discussed, but he hadn't processed a single number. His mind kept drifting to 3 children with slingshots and Lisa's fierce denial. His phone buzzed. The investigator's name appeared on the screen. Excuse me, Jude muttered, already standing. We'll continue this later. He left the conference room, nearly running. He passed his secretary without a word, entered his office, and locked the door. Tell me, he said, breathless. I've emailed you the full report, the investigator replied, voice steady, clinical. But here are the highlights. Lisa Okafor, age 35. Previously employed at Morrison & Associates as a junior accountant. She resigned 7 years and 9 months ago. No official reason listed, but after interviewing former colleagues, they said she appeared emotionally distressed, stopped showing up, and eventually stopped responding to calls. She was terminated for excessive absence. Jude's heart began to pound. 7 years and 9 months ago. Right after he broke up with her. Continue, he managed. She moved from her residence in Lekki to Berea 7 years and 8 months ago. Shortly after relocating, she began attending General Hospital for prenatal care. Prenatal? Jude repeated, his mouth dry. Yes, sir. I obtained her medical records, don't ask how. Meaning Jude really shouldn't ask. She had her first prenatal appointment at approximately 3 months pregnant. Doctor's notes confirmed she was carrying triplets. Triplets. The room tilted. Jude dropped into his chair, legs unable to hold him. She delivered 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, 7 years and 3 months ago at General Hospital, Lagos. The investigator read the names carefully, like they were sacred. David Okafor at 6:47 a.m. Danya Okafor at 6:50 a.m. Diana Okafor at 6:53 a.m. All healthy. No complications. David. Daniel. Diana. His children. The birth certificates, Jude rasped. Who's listed as the father? That's the interesting part, sir. No father is listed on any of them. The space is completely blank. Only the mother's information. What? Nothing at all, the man confirmed. I checked many times. What about the man who supposedly died, the father Lisa mentioned? Jude demanded, voice shaking. No death certificate for anyone connected to her. No marriage certificate. No records of any romantic partner during or after her pregnancy. According to neighbors, Lisa has never mentioned a husband or boyfriend. She has been raising the children alone. They know her simply as Mama Triplets. Hardworking. Private. Keeps to herself. Jude closed his eyes, breathing unevenly. There's more, sir. The investigator continued. Her former landlord confirmed she lived alone. No male visitors. She paid rent on time until she abruptly moved out, breaking her lease and paying the penalty. Anything else? Jude whispered. She started her food stall 7 years ago using personal savings. No loans. No help. She has supported those children entirely on her own. She enrolled them in a modest private school, not fancy, but decent, and hired lesson teachers 3 times a week. According to the school records I accessed, all 3 children are top of their class. Of course they were. They were brilliant. Send me everything, Jude said. Every document, every file, every record. Already in your private inbox, the investigator replied. Is there anything else you need? No, Jude said quietly. That's everything. One more thing, sir, the man added. I verified the timeline multiple times. Based on the children's birth dates, conception occurred approximately 8 years ago, give or take a few weeks. 8 years ago. When they were still together. Right before he left her to marry Adsi Akina. Thank you, Jude whispered. He hung up and then opened his email with trembling fingers. There it was. A massive folder with dozens of attachments. Medical records. Ultrasound images, 3 tiny heartbeats at 12 weeks. Hospital admission forms. Birth certificates, the father's name blank every single time. Financial statements showing a woman scraping together every naira just to survive. School records proving the children excelled despite everything. Eyewitness statements from neighbors describing a single mother who had sacrificed everything for her kids. 7 years. 7 years of doing it alone. While he lived in a mansion, married to a woman he didn't love, completely unaware he had children at all. His children. David. Daniel. Diana. Children who thought their father was dead. Children he never held, never fed, never rocked to sleep. He never read them bedtime stories. Never taught them to ride bikes or tie their shoes. Never heard them call him dad. 7 years, gone. And Lisa had carried it all alone. The guilt hit so hard it felt physical. Jude doubled over in his chair, a silent sob ripping from his chest. He had abandoned her. He had abandoned them. He had abandoned them. It didn't matter that he hadn't known, or that she never told him. The truth remained, his children had grown up without a father because of him. Because of the choices he made. Because 8 years ago, he had been too weak to stand up to his own father. Jude broke down in his office, sobbing uncontrollably, ugly, gasping cries he couldn't hold back. DNA documents were scattered across his desk and computer screen. A soft knock interrupted him. Mr. Badmos. Is everything all right? His secretary asked. I'm fine, he managed to choke out. But he wasn't fine. Not even close. Cancel all my appointments for the rest of the day. I need time. Yes, sir. When the tears finally stopped, his face was soaked, his chest ached, and his hands shook, but his mind was clear. He needed proof. Scientific, undeniable proof. Proof that not even Lisa could dispute. He needed a DNA test. And he already knew how to get it. Jude returned to Lisa's house on Saturday afternoon with a plan. When the door opened, the children screamed, "Mr. Jude," and threw themselves around him as if he were their favorite uncle. It took everything in him not to break down again. They were his children, hugging him, trusting him, with no idea who he really was. "Hello, my favorite heroes," he said, forcing a smile. "I brought something special for you today." "More gifts?" Diana asked, eyes bright. "Even better. Ice cream." He lifted a cooler bag. They cheered. But the moment Lisa appeared, her expression hardened. Jude. What are you doing here? I brought ice cream for the kids. It's scorching outside, he said casually. Thought they deserved a treat. We don't need. Please, Mom, Diana pleaded, her eyes wide. It's just ice cream. And it's really hot. We've been good. We finished all our chores, David added. We haven't fought once today, Daniel said, almost certainly a lie, but Lisa looked too exhausted to argue. She stared at the children's hopeful faces, then at Jude, suspicion filling her eyes. Fine, she said tightly. But then you leave immediately. Of course, Jude agreed. He set down containers of different flavors and, most importantly, disposable spoons. Triple chocolate for David, he said. How did you know? David gasped. Chocolate is my favorite. Lucky guess. Strawberry for Daniel. Yes. Daniel cheered. And vanilla for Diana. Perfect, she said smugly. Vanilla is underrated. Everyone thinks it's boring, but it's actually the most sophisticated flavor. You uncultured coconut head, she added when David laughed. Jude chuckled. I'll have chocolate too. May I join you? They all sat in the living room eating and talking. Lisa stood in the doorway, watching him closely, rightfully suspicious. The kids talked about school, tests, football goals, science projects. Jude listened to every word, absorbing every detail like a starving man. Their voices, their laughter, it was everything. When the ice cream was finished, Jude stood. I should go. Thank you for letting me visit. You're leaving already? Diana asked, disappointed. I promised your mother I wouldn't overstay, he said, glancing at Lisa. He carefully collected the empty containers and, most importantly, the spoons. He memorized them as he wrapped each in a napkin. David, chocolate stains. Daniel, strawberry pink. Diana, vanilla. He hid them in his jacket. Goodbye, the children called. Goodbye, my brave heroes, Jude whispered, memorizing their faces, David's confident grin, Daniel's shy wave, Diana's sharp, knowing eyes. His children. And soon, he would have proof. He drove straight to the private lab. I need a paternity test, he said, handing over the spoons and a saliva sample from his own toothbrush. Discreet. Fast. Money is not a problem. Results in 3 to 5 days, the technician replied. Make it 3. I'll pay extra. Those 3 days were the longest of his life. He couldn't sleep, eat, or walk. Every time he closed his eyes, all he saw were their faces. Please let them be mine, he prayed. Please. On the 3rd day, at exactly 2 p.m., the phone rang. Mr. Badmus, your results are ready. He was already in his car. At the lab, he took the sealed envelope with shaking hands. Back in his car, he stared at it for a long time. Once he opened it, there would be no going back. He tore it open. 99.99%. All 3 children. His. The paper slipped from his hands as a sob ripped from his chest. He cried uncontrollably, grief, relief, regret, everything crashing down at once. He had missed everything. Their first cries, first steps, first words, birthdays, scraped knees, bedtime stories, 7 entire years of life. Years Lisa had carried alone. Years his children believed their father was dead. The guilt crushed him. When the tears finally stopped, the results lay scattered around him like evidence of his greatest failure. But he knew what he had to do. He had to tell his father. Chief Badmus needed to know that he had grandchildren, 3 brilliant, brave grandchildren who had unknowingly saved their father's life. And he needed to face the consequences of what he had done. Chief Badmus sat in his study at the family mansion in Ikoyi, the same house where Lisa had once stood, begging for mercy. That had been 8 years ago, before the stroke that left him wheelchair-bound, before his power faded. He lived surrounded by wealth, yet utterly alone, abandoned by the very children he'd once controlled. The front door slammed. "Dad!" He looked up, startled. Jude never visited unannounced, especially not like this. "Jude, what's wrong? Are you?" Jude stormed into the study, eyes red and burning with fury. He slammed the papers onto the desk so hard the sound echoed like a gunshot. "Read it," Jude said, his voice shaking with barely controlled fury. Chief Badmos frowned, his trembling hands reaching for the papers. He slipped on his reading glasses and began to read. His eyes widened, then widened further. "Jude, what is this?" "DNA test results," Jude replied, his voice like ice. "Those are my children, Dad. Mine. The woman you forced me to abandon 8 years ago was pregnant, and I never knew. For 7 years, I didn't know I had children." Chief Badmos stared at the report, his mouth opening and closing, unable to speak. "Probability of paternity, 99.99%. The words burned from the page. You have children," he finally whispered. "Yes," Jude exploded, slamming his palms on the desk. The sound made his father flinch. 3 children. Triplets. 2 boys and a girl, David, Daniel, and Diana. They are 7 years old, brilliant, brave, incredible, and I missed everything." Chief Badmos looked stunned. "How did you? When did you? Do you remember when I was attacked?" Jude asked, his voice rising with every word. "When those Akinola thugs tried to kidnap me and force me to sign over the company." His father nodded weakly, face pale. 3 children saved me," Jude said, his voice cracking. 3 7-year-olds with slingshots fought off armed men. They saved my life, and I didn't even know who they were. I woke up in a small house, bandaged like a mummy, and when I saw their mother, it was her. Lisa. The woman you threatened. The woman whose life you promised to destroy if I didn't marry that viper, Ada Akinola." Jude's hands shook, his entire body trembling with rage. "Those children, my children, saved my life. And they don't even know I'm their father. Lisa told them I'm dead. That I died. She has raised them alone for 7 years in a tiny house. Working herself to exhaustion at a food store. Struggling to pay school fees. Doing everything alone." His voice turned into a roar. "And I didn't know. I didn't know because of you." The paper slipped from Chief Badmos's hands. He looked devastated. "Jude. I didn't know she was." "Of course you didn't know," Jude shouted. "Because you forced me to break up with her before I could find out. You threatened her family. You terrorized her siblings. You made me say horrible things to her, things I didn't mean, and you destroyed us. All so I could marry the Akinola daughter." He laughed, bitter and broken. "That disaster of a marriage lasted 3 miserable years and cost us billions in the divorce. And that family. They've been trying to steal our company ever since. That's what you sacrificed my happiness for. That's what you traded my children for." "I thought I was protecting you," Chief Badmos whispered. "Protecting me?" Jude echoed, eyes blazing. "You forced me into a loveless marriage that destroyed me. You tore me away from the woman I loved. You took 7 years of fatherhood from me. And you call that protection?" With trembling hands, he pulled out his phone and shoved it toward his father, photos he had secretly taken. 3 laughing children. 3 brilliant little faces. "Look at them," Jude demanded, voice cracking. "Look at them. These are your grandchildren. Your flesh and blood. And they don't know you exist. They think they have no father. No grandfather. No family, except their mother who has been doing everything alone." Chief Badmos stared at the photos, and the tears finally spilled. David, confident, bright-eyed. Daniel, gentle and thoughtful. Diana, sharp, fierce, impossible to ignore. They look like you, he whispered. When you were their age. Of course they do, Jude said, his voice breaking. They are mine. They are my children. The children I never got to hold. The children you kept from me. He sank into a chair, his anger fading into something much heavier, grief. I missed their births, Dad. I wasn't there when Lisa was scared and alone. I didn't hold them as babies. Didn't see their first steps. Didn't hear their first words. No birthdays. No Christmas mornings. No script knees or bedtime stories. 7 years. He put his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I have 3 incredible children, and they think I'm dead. Chief Badmoser's voice trembled. You didn't know. It doesn't matter, Jude said, looking up, tears streaming. The result is the same. My children grew up fatherless. Lisa suffered alone. And it's because of you. Something inside Chief Badmos broke. His stroke had taken his strength, but this truth crushed him completely. It was the first time he truly faced the consequences of his decisions. I'm sorry, he whispered. Jude, I'm so sorry. Sorry. Jude laughed, but it wasn't a laugh. It was pain in disguise. Sorry doesn't bring back 7 years. Sorry doesn't heal what you destroyed. I know, Chief Badmos said, voice trembling, but stronger than it had been in months. I know I can't fix it. I was wrong. About everything. He looked at the photos, tears dripping onto the glossy paper. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting our family. Protecting our legacy. Akinto was my oldest friend. We built our businesses from nothing. When he suggested joining our families, I thought it was perfect. I thought I was securing your future. He was using you, Jude said coldly. His company was collapsing. He wanted our money. He wanted control. And you were so blinded by power, you gave him everything, including me. I know, Chief Badmos whispered. I know that now. He betrayed us. And when the marriage fell apart, he tried to take the company. The kidnapping, that was him. He wanted you to sign over the shares. And he almost succeeded, Jude said. If 3 children hadn't saved me. Chief Badmos covered his face with both hands. What have I done? He cried. What have I done? You destroyed my life, Jude said quietly. Lisa's life. Our children's lives. Every good thing you shattered because you cared more about deals and appearances than about love or family. I was a fool, Chief Badmos whispered. A proud, greedy fool who thought wealth mattered more than happiness. He stared at his son through swollen, red eyes. I had a stroke 2 years ago. I lay in that hospital, unable to speak or move. And all I had was time to think. I realized then that I lost everything that mattered. Your mother died unhappy because I never changed. Your siblings resent me. And now I've lost you. Dad. No, he said, raising a trembling hand. Let me finish. I need to say this. He took a breath, a broken, cracking breath. I've been a terrible father. A terrible husband. A terrible man. I have hurt every person I claim to love. And now I find out I have 3 grandchildren, who don't even know I exist. 3 beautiful, brave children who are my second chance, and I don't deserve them. He broke down completely. The man who once ruled boardrooms now wept like a child. Jude watched him sob, this man who had been untouchable, unbreakable, now broken beyond repair. And despite everything, something shifted in Jude's chest. This was his father. Flawed. Damaged. Wrong. But still his father. Dad, Jude said softly. I'm not ready to forgive you. Not now. Maybe not for a long time. What you did can't be undone. I know, his father whispered.